lady for her contribution and for her work on the Budget Committee. And I know somewhere toward the end there we talked, the gentlelady mentioned jobs, and this is something that is kind of at the core of what we're trying to work toward. We're trying to find a budget, develop a budget that will stimulate the economy, that will create jobs, and we know that under the Ryan budget, again, according to the Heritage Foundation, the way they get to some kind of physical sanity is they project that unemployment in the country will be reduced to 2.8% by 2016. Now, I don't know any reputable economists in the country who thinks that's feasible, particularly when you're slashing a lot of government spending that does create jobs, particularly in the healthcare arena. But no one has been more vocal and more knowledgeable and more articulate about what it takes in this country to create jobs than Mr. Garamendi from California, and I welcome him to the discussion and yield to him now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yarmouth. And for the members of the Budget Committee, you've had a steep and difficult job as the Republicans have attempted simply to ram down the throats of this Congress a really unacceptable budget, one that does destroy opportunities. I would love to talk about Make It in America, and I will in a moment, but I was just listening to my colleague from California, and she raised the issue of the medical care here in the United States. It was 1964 that the United States set out on a very, very important mission, and that was to provide health care to seniors. Prior to that time, and I know from my own county, where I grew up in Calaveras County, if you became a senior, you were destined for a very, very rough road. There was literally no insurance available for you, and there was no opportunity for you to get yourself out of poverty unless you happened to be among the wealthy. It was a terrible situation. So during the Lyndon Johnson period, 1964, they created a program called Medicare. Medicare, so that when you became 65, you had an opportunity to get a solid health care program available to you. A doctor program, a hospital program. You had to pay a little bit for the hospital program, but it was guaranteed available to you, and every American 65 and over had that policy. Here we are, 40-some years later, and what's taking place? Our Republican colleagues are determined to terminate, kill, stop, eliminate Medicare. They do it in a subtle way. They do it in a subtle way. But I want everyone to know that this year, if the Republican budget goes forward, this will be the tombstone for Medicare. Medicare, 1965 to 2011. Created by Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ, destroyed by the GOP. How do they do it? They do it by saying everyone that is 55 years old today will never get Medicare. It's over. And for those that are on Medicare, their lives will move on, and eventually they will be gone also. And Medicare dies with this budget. This is a central part of the American promise to every senior, and the Republicans are determined to terminate Medicare and put a tombstone, dated this year, 2011. You'll get a voucher, but as my colleague from Los Angeles so eloquently said, that voucher will be worth very little when the time comes, and you'll be thrown to the insurance sharks. I understand insurance. I was the insurance commissioner in California for 8 years, and I know what the health insurance companies want to do. They want to make sure that they insure somebody that will never get sick. Pre-existing conditions, raise the rates, change the benefits, increase the co-pays and the deductibles, all of that. So the future population of seniors in just 10 years will be thrown to the wolves, and they'll be at the mercy of the health insurance companies. We cannot let that happen. This is a fight for the very nature of America. This is a fight not only to protect seniors, but to protect those who want to become seniors. I want to know what American out there today does not want to live long enough to get to Medicare. They know that today, because of the Democratic Congress, they have an opportunity to get insurance with the Health Care Reform Act. But they know that the Republicans want to take that away, too. The very first piece of legislation that the new Republican Congress passed was the repeal of the Affordable Health Care Act. This is step 2, to dismantle. Now, I'm going to take another 30 seconds and turn it back to my colleagues on the budget side. But here's what we must do. We must get to the root cause of the underlying inflation in health care. Terminating Medicare does not stop health care inflation. What could stop it are the kind of reports and the kind of suggestions that I made 5 years ago when I wrote this document called Priced Out. 43 separate things that we can do, specifically for California, but it's applicable for America. 43 separate things that we can do to bring down the cost of medical care. It turns out that about a dozen of those were in the Affordable Health Care Act. Very specific things to rein in the cost of medical care. 2 examples. 1, hospital infections. Not only deadly, but costly. Now, every hospital in the United States is forced by the Affordable Health Care Act to pay attention to hospital infections. It's probable that one of our colleagues, who was with us here in this House last year, died as a result of a hospital infection just last week. This is serious stuff. It's in the Affordable Health Care Act. Hospitals would be penalized. Secondly, electronic medical records, so that the mistakes are eliminated. Let me turn this back to you, Mr. Yarmouth and Mr. Tonko. You on the Budget Committee have served so well, so hard, fighting the initial battle to protect America's seniors and to protect this nation's future. Thank you for the opportunity to join you.
I thank the gentleman for his